So finally we got the official confirmation that yes, Zovaal was in fact the original Arbiter. Now I would say I was completely right and I predicted this in multiple videos, but really with the current narrative I can't really say that is all that much of an achievement. However, it is good that we finally got the official confirmation and we're no longer just blindly speculating about this. Of course we still don't know what the jailer is after, but at least the story is actually moving and progressing. So what is this brand new information? Brought to you by Gamivo. Use my link to get Shadowlands and game time cheaper as well as any other game. Use code Doron for an additional discount. Even before the expansion was released, this theory has been going around that the jailer was actually the original Arbiter. I've even made multiple videos on this. Now, I can't really say it takes like 200 IQ to figure this out, as it seemed pretty obvious. The jailer has a hole in his chest, the Arbiter has an orb in much the same place. Their appearance is actually quite similar, and there was even a comparison of the original leaked art of the jailer. Furthermore, what gave us even more proof was when we knew that Zovaal was after the sigils, and that Primus's appearance was significantly changed when he got in touch with his, so it was only natural to think that the same transformation would happen to the jailer once he acquired his own sigil. So here is the actual information of what happened. After the brand new cinematic where Zovaal acquired his true form and Sylvanas betrayed her master and all, we got a conversation between Bolvar and the Primus, and the Primus is one of the most important beings of the Shadowlands, gave us the lore behind Zovaal, and I'd say surprisingly quite revealing actually, seeing that over the past year we've only been getting these little small breadcrumbs of the story. According to the Primus, Zovaal stood among them, the Eternal Ones, as the Arbiter of the Shadowlands. Then he goes on about the information we already kinda knew, and that is that he defied the will of the First Ones and sought to unmake the balance of the cosmos. For his crimes, the Eternal Ones stripped their brother of his power, and the Primus himself carved the runes into his flesh, binding him with domination magic. So those runes that you have seen, that is exactly what Primus did to him. Even more interestingly, they essentially siphoned the jailer's anima, significantly weakening him, and then infused an artificial arbiter that they had constructed, one that would be dispassionate but just. He then goes on to say how he's after the sepulchre, but of course he doesn't actually reveal what it is. To an extent, this is all new information, but let's actually discuss some of the details, as we can definitely draw some very interesting conclusions out of them. Obviously, the long-standing theory was confirmed that the Arbiter was essentially just a computer, a robot, and honestly it is not surprising at all. The Eternal Ones didn't really seem to care when the Arbiter was shut down. They didn't exactly refer to her as their sister. It was like, oh no. Anyway, now Zovaal was the Arbiter, and I think it is pretty safe to say that he was indeed the main guy of the Shadowlands, one of the most important, if not the most important figure. After all, it was him that decided where every soul will go to, and it was him responsible for delivering anima towards other realms. This has very interesting implications, because if he was the main guy, he definitely had the most amount of power, meaning that he knew what others did not. He was kinda above them when it came to knowledge. I think the theory I had before of how the First Ones essentially subdued the Shadowlands might in fact be right, and I'm guessing this is what Zovaal figured out as well after some time. As he was sending mortals to their realms, he may have realized that he doesn't actually have any agency, and in fact he was just a glorified sorting machine doing the will of the First Ones, and he was like, wait a minute, this isn't power, I'm just role-playing as a computer here, I can't really do much else. If the Shadowlands were subdued, he was kept in the dark, so he started getting curious and he wanted to break free, as let's be real here, this really seems like more of a prison than an actual position of power. Imagine if you were just sorting out souls for all eternity in one place. So Zovaal wanted to get out of the position and break this machinery. Now, my speculation as to why his brothers didn't support him was because they were more kings than he really was. The rest of the Eternal Ones had their own realms and they were essentially lords of their afterlife kingdoms. Meanwhile, all all Zovaal did was just send energy and empower them. So really the system may have actually worked in the favor of the Eternal Ones. Sure, they were all just prisoners of the first ones, but hey, they had their own little realm and a lot of power that they can do stuff with. Now, if Zovaal started a rebellion, they would all lose their anima influx, their realms would ultimately fall apart, and if the rebellion failed, they would really be nothing, as the first ones seemed insanely powerful. I'm guessing this was an incredibly risky endeavor, so the Eternal Ones figured, let's just stop that and continue as we did until now. Let's remain ignorant, but ignorant lords. This might also be the reason why Zovaal is so bitter, and he's constantly talking about how his family hurt him the most and he essentially despises them. You can see how this was selfish. Sure, he was their brother, but they all essentially just used him as an energy source, and they didn't care about him actually doing something, and they would have kept the status quo as long as they got their own share of anima. So he definitely saw them as cowards that just wanted to rule, even if it meant that their brother was being used as a power source. I see it as like a really risky endeavor. If they won and broke the machinery, they would all get insanely more powerful, but the chances were slim that it would happen, so they just decided to imprison him instead. I think this is also why the Natrius supported him most recently. He really seems like the type of personality that would do such a thing. I think first time he may have been on the edge but still complied with Primus, but over the years he realized that he essentially is just confined to being the Lord of Revendred, and he wanted to become a serious cosmological being. Therefore he started supporting Zovaal. Now all of this, at least the second part of this video, is my speculation. The actual information is confirmed, but I gotta say this speculation, to me at least, makes the most amount of sense. Thank you for watching. Check out one of the most horrific creations of Zovaal by clicking on the screen, and also check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history and science. See you next time.